If someone asked me what the most dangerous lie humans believe is, I would say this. We think we have time. Time to fix our mistakes. Time to say sorry. Time to say I love you. One more time. But when life suddenly falls apart, time becomes quiet. Almost like it stops breathing. My name is Daniel Foster. I was born in Austin, Texas, where summers smell like hot roads and barbecue smoke, and where the cicadas sound like electricity buzzing inside trees. My childhood wasn't wealthy, but it was rich. Rich with warmth, rich with noise, rich with love. My parents were simple people, the kind who believed in hard work more than luck. My father worked at a local auto shop, fixing engines and transmissions. He wasn't a man of many words. He spoke with his hands, with his work, and with the quiet pride on his face when an engine finally started again. My mother worked 2 part-time jobs, but still managed to make home feel like home. There was always dinner on the table, even if it was just rice and beans. My older sister Abby was the loud one. She talked fast, laughed faster, and could win any argument, even if she was wrong. We were total opposites, but she was my anchor. Growing up, I spent a lot of time at the auto shop with my dad. I watched him fix cars with the kind of patience most people save for babies. By the time I was 13, I knew how to pull out a carburetor and clean it. By 15, I could rebuild small engines on my own. Dad never said, "I love you," but every time he handed me a wrench and let me work beside him, that was his love. Work became my identity. At 16, I shoveled snow for neighbors in winter and cut grass in summer, not because I enjoyed sweating in the Texas heat, but because my parents taught me that if you want something, you work for it. I learned early, work is not punishment. Work is proof that you can build something. After high school, life moved fast. I left Texas and took a job in Wyoming, working at a large automotive distribution center. Wyoming was a different world. Mountains that touched the sky, air so clean, it almost hurt to breathe, and winters that could humble even the strongest ego. I loved the small town simplicity. People waved when they passed you on the road. Strangers held doors open. The world felt slower, kinder. There, I met the woman who would change everything. Emily. She was calm where I was restless, soft where I was stubborn. She loved quietly, but fully. We got married in a tiny chapel overlooking the mountains, the kind of place where the wind itself feels like a witness. Life didn't give us much money, but it gave us meaning. Eventually we had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. They exploded into my world, like fireworks. They turned our living room into a racetrack, our backyard into a kingdom, and our hearts into permanent construction zones. I used to come home exhausted from work, greasy hands, sore back, and the moment those kids wrapped their arms around me, every bad meeting, every angry customer, every frustration from the day just dissolved. I climbed high in the automotive industry. I became known for fixing problems other people ran away from. I was promoted to regional operations manager. Good paycheck, good benefits, good resume, but with growth came sacrifice. I started coming home late. Weekends disappeared. I missed dance recitals, football games, movie nights. I told myself, I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for our future. But the truth, I was doing it because I didn't know how to slow down. Work became a race I didn't remember signing up for. One night, a night I can still feel in my bones, changed everything. I stayed late, supervising a shipment error that had thrown our entire production schedule off. By the time I got into my truck, it was close to 10 p.m. It was early March, the season where winter and spring wrestle for control. The roads were dry when I started driving up the mountain pass, but the temperature was dropping. The mountains looked like giant shadows against the sky. No streetlights, no traffic, just silence, and the soft hum of my engine. I remember thinking, just get home. Emily's waiting. The kids are asleep. Life is good. I had no idea that within minutes, my world would flip into pain, darkness, and something far beyond anything I ever imagined. The road was quiet. Too quiet. Most people don't understand how silence can feel heavy, almost like a warning. But that night, on that mountain pass in Wyoming, the silence felt different. I could hear my own breath. I could hear the tires on the pavement. I could even hear the small ticking sound from the dashboard. It was peaceful and eerie. The temperature had dropped fast. Earlier that day, the snow had melted a little, and now that meltwater was turning into black ice. The type of ice that doesn't shine. The type of ice that looks like regular road. I was halfway down a stretch of highway surrounded by tall pines. The sky was dark, but there was a soft glow from the moon. My headlights carved two narrow tunnels of light through the night. I thought about Emily and the kids. I imagined walking into the house, dropping my keys in the bowl by the door, and seeing Emily curled up on the couch waiting for me. I imagined kissing the kids on the forehead while they slept. I could practically feel the warmth of home calling me. I had no reason to worry. My mind was full of family and plans. And tomorrow, then it happened. As I reached the top of a small rise, something moved on the road. I leaned forward instinctively. In the beam of my headlights, a deer stood frozen, right in the middle of my lane. Time slowed. My hands reacted before my brain did. I gently turned the wheel, left to avoid the deer. My tires slipped. The truck lost traction. The back end began to slide. My heart slammed in my chest. It's just a slide, I told myself. Correct it. I turned the wheel back to straighten out. But the truck didn't respond. It kept sliding. Sideways now, the road beneath me turning into glass. I wasn't in control anymore. Ahead on the opposite side of the road, bright lights appeared. Not little lights, but big ones. High beams. A truck. A semi-truck. A massive one. There are moments in life where your mind understands something before you can say the words. This was one of those moments. I knew I was going to hit. I knew there was no way to stop it. I knew I might not survive. In the space of one heartbeat, I thought of everything that mattered. My wife, my 3 kids, my parents, my life. I gripped the steering wheel. I didn't scream. I didn't pray. I just held on. The semi-truck hit my vehicle on the front driver's side. Crash. Metal tore like paper. Glass exploded. The impact ripped the entire left half of my truck away, like someone sliced it open with a giant knife. The sound was violent, sharp, and final. My body was thrown down against the floor of the vehicle. The seatbelt didn't catch me the way it should have. Pain shot through my chest as ribs snapped. My right knee smashed into the dashboard, and I felt something inside me tear. I couldn't move my left side. I tried to push myself up, but my body did not respond. My legs felt heavy, like they were filled with cement. I felt a strange warmth spreading inside my abdomen. I didn't know it then, but my spleen had ruptured. I was bleeding internally. The cold wind rushed in from the missing side of the truck. Snowflakes landed on my face. I could smell gasoline and metal. I tried to breathe, but every inhale felt like someone was cutting me from the inside. I whispered, "Help," but the night swallowed my voice. I heard footsteps crunching on ice. People yelling, "Oh my God, he's alive. Call for help. We need to get him out." I wanted to speak. I wanted to say, "Tell Emily I love her." But the pain pulled me under. My vision blurred. The world dimmed. My body felt heavier and heavier. I remember only one clear thought. This is how it feels when life slips away. Then everything faded into black. Everything around me became distant, like I was underwater. The pain was still there, but it was fading. I could feel less and less of my body. The voices outside the broken truck kept talking, but they sounded far away, like they were echoing through a long tunnel. "Stay awake. Don't close your eyes. We need an ambulance now." Another voice. "There's no signal here." We have to drive to the closest farmhouse. Their words were fast, panicked. My thoughts were slow, tired. I wanted to answer them. I wanted to say, I'm trying. I really am. But my lips wouldn't move. My breathing became harder. Every inhale felt like I was forcing air into a broken machine. My chest burned. My right leg was twisted, and the left side of my body felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. That was when fear changed into something else. Acceptance. Not because I wanted to die, but because fighting became too heavy. My vision blurred again. I saw tiny white dots floating, then stretching, then disappearing. The cold air that once hurt was now strangely soft and warm, like a blanket someone gently placed on my chest. I thought about Emily, her soft voice, her smile in the kitchen when I came home, tired, the way she rested her head on my shoulder when we watched movies with the kids asleep on the couch. I thought of our 3 children, their tiny hands holding mine, their laughter, their future. I can't leave them. Not yet. But another thought came right after, calm and final. You might not have a choice. I could feel something inside me breaking loose. Not a bone, not a muscle, something deeper, something I couldn't explain. The pain started fading, not slowly, but suddenly, like someone turned down the volume knob. My body felt heavy. My mind felt light. Then a memory appeared. Not like a flashback in movies, more like reliving a moment fully. I saw myself as a little boy, sitting on the floor of my father's auto shop, playing with broken bolts like toys. I saw my mother laughing, while wiping oil stains off my face. I saw my sister, chasing me around the backyard, in the summer heat, sprinklers spraying water everywhere. Then another memory, meeting Emily for the first time at the community auto shop. Her hair tied back, her face serious, while she asked me if I could check her car's brakes. I remembered thinking, I would check every brake in the world for her. Then another, holding my first newborn child. I cried harder that day than I had ever cried. It was like my life wasn't passing before my eyes. It was being handed to me, piece by piece, memory by memory. A soft warmth started rising from my legs upward, like I was being wrapped in comfort. Every second, I felt lighter. The pain vanished, the cold vanished, the fear vanished. I didn't feel like I was dying. I felt like I was letting go. My mind whispered a final thought. Maybe this is okay. Maybe this is peace. My eyelids grew heavy. The voices outside my truck began fading completely. My body stopped hurting. A calm washed over me. Warm, safe, peaceful. I took one last deep breath. My eyes closed. And then, everything went black. The beings stood around me in a circle. Their light was warm and gentle, like sunlight without heat. I didn't feel like I was standing with strangers. I felt like I was standing with family. They didn't speak with mouths. They communicated with thought. Clear, direct, and without confusion. One message entered my mind. You are safe. Those words weren't just information. They were comfort. They were truth. For the first time in my life, I felt completely accepted. No judgment. No expectations. No fear of not being good enough. I looked down at myself. I didn't have injuries. No broken bones. No pain. I wasn't heavy. I wasn't tired. I was whole. The beings seemed to glow brighter. And then without warning, something began to appear around us, like a gentle curtain of moving light. It wasn't random. It formed images. Suddenly, I saw my life. Not like a memory. Not like a dream. More like I was standing inside the moments. The first scene was me as a little boy, no older than 6. I was in the driveway of our home in Austin. I could see my small hands gripping a toy car. My father knelt beside me, showing me how to turn a real wrench. I watched that moment, but I also felt it. The excitement, the love. Another scene appeared. I was 12, sweating under the Texas sun, mowing the neighbor's yard. My dad stood at the edge, arms folded, watching with pride. I never knew he smiled like that. I didn't know that moment mattered to him. The beings beside me sent a peaceful thought. Every moment of love matters. Then the scene changed. I saw my first day in Wyoming. I was nervous, unsure, I didn't know anyone. I was sitting alone at a diner, studying maps and thinking about work. I watched myself from the outside, the way my shoulders were tense, the way I kept checking my phone. I had been scared, but I never admitted it. Then I saw Emily. She walked into the diner, laughing with a friend. I saw myself notice her. I saw my face change. I felt that moment all over again, like a spark in the chest. My heart softened. The next visions came faster. Our wedding day. Her face glowing, eyes full of trust. The moment we held our first baby in the hospital. The night I built a crib and messed up the instructions but kept trying. Each memory had weight, but not heavy weight. Emotional weight. I felt love in every scene. But then, I saw the moments I had forgotten. Moments I didn't want to remember. Nights when Emily asked me not to work late. And I said, I have to. Days when my kids wanted to play. And I said, maybe tomorrow. Then the hardest one. My daughter stood in the doorway holding a drawing. Daddy, I made this for you. In the memory, I didn't even look up from my laptop. Not right now, sweetheart. I'm busy. Watching that moment again broke something inside me. I felt the disappointment on her little face. I felt how deeply she wanted my attention. In the circle of light, surrounded by beings who loved me without conditions, I cried. But the beings weren't disappointed. They didn't show anger. They weren't judging me. Instead, a message formed gently in my mind. You were doing your best with the understanding you had. Another message followed. Life is not measured by what you achieve. It is measured by how much you love. I felt something inside me shift. A truth settling into place. Everything I chased. Success, promotions, money. None of it mattered in the end. Not compared to time. Time with the people we love. I looked at the beings and asked without words. Am I dead? They responded softly. You are between. You can stay or you can return. Return, go back to pain. Go back to the broken body inside that crushed truck. Here, I felt peace, love, freedom. Why would I ever leave this? But then, one final vision appeared. I saw Emily sitting on the living room floor, holding our daughter. Both were crying. I saw my two sons hugging each other, confused and scared. I felt their pain. I felt their loss. In that moment I knew, they still needed me. And everything inside me changed. When the vision of my family faded, everything around me became quiet again. The beings still stood around me. Their light didn't dim, and their warmth didn't fade. I felt their love like a blanket around my heart. But inside me, something had changed. I no longer felt only peace, now I felt a pull. A pull back to earth, a pull back to the people I loved. I looked at the beings, and without speaking, I asked, do they really need me? A soft response entered my mind. They need your presence, not your perfection. A wave of emotion hit me. All my life, I believed being a provider, the worker, the problem solver, was enough. I thought success meant money, stability, safety. I believed I was showing love by working hard. But now I understood something painful. Providing is not the same as being present. The beings continued sending thoughts gently. Your children came to learn love from you, not lose you to work. Their words struck deep. It wasn't blame, it was truth. Another memory appeared, one I had pushed down and forgotten. It was a Sunday morning. My son held a football, waiting by the door. Dad, can we go to the park now? Maybe later, I said, typing an email. He waited for hours that day, and later never came. Watching that memory again hurt more than the accident did. I looked at the beings, ashamed. I didn't know any better, I thought. The beings responded, you know better now. Their light became brighter. I felt something inside me open, like a locked door finally clicking. Suddenly I understood. Life on earth is not about achieving. Life is not about collecting money, or titles, or trophies. Life is about love. Who we love. How we love. How present we are. For the people who matter. I asked another question silently. If I return, will I remember this? They answered, you will remember enough to change. I looked at my own hands. or the version of my hands in that place. They weren't injured. They weren't shaking. They felt strong, steady, full of energy. It was then that I realized something important. I was being offered a choice. I could stay in that place of peace. No pain, no struggle, no responsibility, or I could return to earth, to a broken body, to pain, to recovery, to challenge. Why would anyone choose to go back? The question echoed inside me. The beings didn't answer with words. Instead, they showed me an image. I saw my children as adults. My oldest son, standing in a workshop, teaching his own child how to use a wrench. My younger son, hugging his sister during a difficult time in her life. My daughter, holding a newborn baby, whispering, "Your grandpa would have loved you." I was in all those futures. Not because I was successful, not because I worked hard, but because I loved them. I was part of their story, and they were part of mine. The beings sent one final, gentle message. Love is why you came to earth. Love is why you must return. I took a breath, not with lungs, but with my soul. I want to go back, I said inside my mind. Instantly, everything changed. The peace faded, the light faded, the warmth disappeared, and suddenly I felt my spirit being pulled. Fast, like I was falling from the sky. The beautiful world of light vanished. The stars disappeared. The silence broke. Pain rushed in. Cold air slapped my skin. I was back. Back in my broken body. Back in the crushed truck. Back to pain, so strong it made me scream. I opened my eyes. Flashing red lights. Rescuers yelling. The sound of metal being cut by the jaws of life. Someone shouted, "He's breathing. He's back." They didn't know how true that was. I wasn't just alive again. I had returned with a new purpose. When I came back into my body, it was like crashing into a wall of pain. My eyes flew open. A bright light blinded me. Cold air burned my face. Every part of my body felt broken. I couldn't move. Voices echoed around me. "Stay with us. He's conscious. We need to cut the door off." The jaws of life were tearing metal. Sparks flew in front of my eyes. The rescuers didn't know what I had just experienced. They didn't know I had just left a place filled with peace and love. To them, I was a badly injured man trapped in a truck. I tried to speak, but only a rough whisper came out. My family, a firefighter, leaned close. "Don't talk. We're getting you out." They slid a board under my back. The moment they lifted me, pain shot through my body like fire. I screamed. I could feel every broken rib. My right hip felt like it had exploded. My leg refused to move. The world spun. The cold night air became sharper, cutting into my skin like knives. Snowflakes fell on my face and melted on my cheeks. I couldn't tell if the wetness was melted snow or tears. I remember thinking, I chose this. I chose to return to this pain for them. They carried me to the ambulance. Inside it was bright, warm, and loud. Machines beeped. Gloves snapped. Someone put an oxygen mask over my face. "Daniel, can you hear me?" "Yes." My voice was barely a breath. "You're losing a lot of blood. Stay awake." The ambulance moved fast. I felt every bump in the road. Every vibration went straight into my broken bones. I tried to stay conscious, but darkness kept pulling at me. I remember drifting in and out. One moment I was in the ambulance. The next I was floating above my body again. I could see the paramedics working on me. One was pressing against my side. Another was inserting an IV. My body looked weak, gray, almost lifeless. But this time I didn't stay out of my body for long. I knew I needed to be inside it to live. I forced myself to stay present. When we reached the small mountain hospital, I was rushed inside. The emergency room doors flew open. Doctors and nurses were waiting. Someone shouted, "He has massive internal bleeding. Prep for surgery. Move, move, move." Everything happened fast. They cut my clothes off, attached wires, pushed needles into my arms. Hands touched me everywhere. Checking, testing, assessing. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. All I could do was feel pain. The room spun above me. The ceiling lights blurred as they rolled me down the hallway. I heard machines beeping faster. I heard someone say, "His blood pressure is crashing." I felt a hand squeeze mine. A nurse leaned close and whispered, "You're not alone. Stay with us." I wanted to tell her, "I'm not afraid of death. I've seen what waits." But I had chosen life. I had chosen pain because pain meant I still had time. Time with my family. They pushed me into the operating room. The doctors moved quickly. Voices overlapped. "We need more blood. He's fading. Start counting." The mask over my face filled with a strange smell. My vision blurred again. Everything became slow, like underwater movement. Just before I went unconscious again, I whispered inside my own mind, "I promised them I'd come back. Don't let me break that promise." And then, silence. Darkness. But not the peaceful one from before. This darkness was heavy, like something pulling me down. I felt myself slipping again. Not into the afterlife, but into nothingness. And somewhere far away, I heard a voice. Soft, familiar. "You're not done yet, Daniel. Keep choosing life." When I woke up again, I wasn't sure where I was. The lights were softer. The air smelled clean, like disinfectant. I could hear a steady beeping sound. A heart monitor. I wasn't dead. I was in a hospital bed. At first, I couldn't move anything below my chest. Panic rose inside me. My throat felt dry and rough. A nurse noticed my eyes opening. "You're awake," she said, with a soft smile. "Welcome back." I wanted to speak, but no sound came out. "Don't try to talk," she said. "Your body has been through a lot." Slowly, I learned what happened. My spleen had ruptured, and I had been bleeding internally. I had more than 300 fractures in my ribs. My right hip was damaged, and doctors had to repair it with pins and screws. They told me, "You had a 3% chance of surviving that night." I closed my eyes. My chest tightened with emotion. 3%. I was alive because I chose to return, and because those doctors refused to give up on me. Days passed, then weeks. Recovery was slow and painful. Physical therapy hurt more than I expected. Every movement burned. Every stretch felt like fire inside my bones. Many times I wanted to stop. Many times I wanted to give up. But then I remembered. I chose life. I chose my family. I chose to stay. And that gave me strength. My wife stayed by my side. Emily sat beside my bed every single day. She held my hand when I cried from pain. She fed me when I couldn't feed myself. She even slept in a chair just so she wouldn't miss a moment. One night, I woke up and saw her head resting next to my arm. Tears fell down her cheeks while she slept. I whispered, "I'm sorry. Sorry for every moment I chose work over them. Sorry for every time I said later." When she woke, I looked into her eyes and said, "I'm going to be different. I don't want to miss our life anymore." She didn't answer with words. She just hugged me tightly, and I felt that hug in my soul. Everything in me changed. Before the accident, I lived to achieve things. After the accident, I lived to experience things. I used to think work first, family later. Now I knew. Family is the only thing that really matters. My priorities shifted completely. I became a vegetarian, not because of diet trends, but because something in me couldn't bear the thought of harming life. I became gentler, softer, slower, more present. Instead of chasing success, I started chasing peace. Instead of trying to control everything, I learned to accept things. Instead of being angry or stressed, I learned to be grateful. I studied spirituality, not religion, but connection. I learned breathing exercises. I learned meditation. I learned that silence is not empty. Silence is full of answers. I stopped seeing God as someone above us. I started seeing God as something inside all of us. One simple truth kept repeating in my heart. We are not separate from God. We are part of God. We are not here to suffer. We are here to learn, to love, to grow. I realized I never needed to look for God in a building, or in a book, or in a place far away. God was always inside me, in my soul, in my breath, in every act of love. Life became beautiful again. Little things mattered now. Breakfast with my kids, watching the sunset, listening to Emily laugh in the kitchen. Every morning felt like a gift. I looked at the world differently. Colors felt brighter. People felt more important. I saw strangers like brothers and sisters. I understood. We are all connected. I didn't just survive the accident. I woke up. Even after I returned home, recovery took months. Walking was painful. Sitting was painful. Even breathing sometimes hurt. But I was alive. And because of that, every little moment felt precious. Before the accident, I used to rush through life. I used to think, once things get better, then I'll enjoy life. But I now understood something powerful. Life does not start later. Life is happening right now. One morning, I sat on the porch with a cup of coffee. The sun was rising. The sky was pink and gold. My daughter came outside and leaned her head against my shoulder. We weren't talking. We weren't doing anything special. We were just there, present. And I realized I didn't need more success, more money, or more achievements. All I needed was this moment. I didn't return to my old habits. I stopped chasing promotions. I stopped working late, every night. I said no to things that didn't matter, and yes to what did. Saying I love you, listening without distraction, being home for dinner, playing with my kids, holding Emily's hand. One afternoon, my son asked me, "Dad, want to play catch?" Before the accident, I might have said, "Not now, I'm busy." But now I smiled and said, "Yes, right now." We went outside, and we threw the ball back and forth. The sun warmed our faces. My son laughed, as the ball slipped from his glove. At that moment, I felt something deeper than happiness. I felt alive. I didn't keep my experience a secret. I talked about it. People asked me, "Did you really die?" I always answer, "I didn't die. I woke up." I studied different spiritual teachings. Christianity, Buddhism, Sufism, meditation, and everywhere I looked, one message was the same. Love is the center of everything, not fear, not judgment, not punishment. Love. We are not here to prove our worth. We are here to give love and receive love. That's the whole purpose. We are connected. Before the accident, I believed everyone was separate. Strangers, co-workers, neighbors. After the accident, I felt something different. We are connected, all of us. We are all created from the same source, the same energy, not separate pieces, but one whole. The beings I met, those beings of light, showed me that the soul is real. They showed me that we don't truly die. Our body stops, but our soul continues. Death is not an ending. It's a return to a place where there is no fear, no pain, no loneliness, only love. People think life is about accomplishing something big, but life is about experiencing something big. Love, growth, connection. We learn lessons here, lessons we cannot learn anywhere else. We learn patience from waiting. We learn strength from pain. We learn appreciation from loss. You cannot see the stars until it is dark. You cannot understand joy until you feel sadness. You cannot know love until you go through struggle. And struggle is not punishment. It is preparation. If there is one lesson I brought back, it is this. The hardest part is not dying. The hardest part is living fully. So, hold someone a little longer. Say I love you without fear. Forgive faster. Laugh more. Don't wait for someday. Life is not a race. Life is a gift. Every sunrise is a second chance. Every breath is proof that you still have purpose. And when your time on earth is over, you will not be judged by what you achieved, but by how deeply you loved.